Among the pieces that the later Greeks are going to see, or the sites that they're going to see, is going to be the Citadel at Tiryns. And just looking at today, if you put yourself in the shoes of, say, a 6th century, 7th century Greek, looking at this, they're going to think that a remarkable species of man that no longer walks the earth, or some kind of demigods or gods themselves may have built it, because it would look massive. And it would have looked at the time like something that you could never have built. Remember, we're before the Greeks of the 5th and 4th century that build the Parthenon and all of that. So that's where they're getting this idea of the Bronze Age of man. And what we're looking at is a fortified citadel. So it would have essentially a palace, which we see towards the right side, and then some residences towards the left. There would have been more residences around it, small homes for peasants, farmers, etc. And then we have the more important people, the shops, and the palace inside, not unlike what we're going to see in medieval Europe, for example. The walls are about 20 feet thick, which means there are warlike tendencies going on. People are fighting on a regular basis. We have war between the city-states trying to go for resources. And so you're going to need that wall. Walls are always indicative of warfare in one way or another. You don't use resources to build something if you're not thinking that you're going to need it. One section of it, interestingly, has a long corbel vaulted gallery. Now, this is made without mortar. It's ashlar masonry, and it's a corbel vault, very similar to what we saw, for example, at New Grange. And it's innovative because as one approaches the gate via this very long ramp that we're looking at, the shields would be affected, and the number of people who can pass through it is affected. So really, you're single file through here. If you put your shield in front of you to defend against the person standing at the end of the hall, now your side is going to be vulnerable, your right side, and you can be stabbed through those windows. If, however, you use the shield to defend against the windows, then the person at the end will be able to attack you. So it's narrow enough that you can defend the city with one person standing at this entrance ramp, maybe a few people, but it negates the numbers. You could have 100,000 person army surrounding the city, but they can't get in because, two people are standing at the end of the hall. They would have to go through the walls or something like that, which would take a lot because they're 20 feet thick. You're seeing where this is going. Very, very defensive development. Now inside, we would have, for example, a megaron, much like we did at the palace at Knossos, this reception hall or throne room. In the middle, you would have a hearth. Above it, an opening to the sky, because of course you need that smoke to pass out of the building. It would have been decorated with mosaics or frescoes or any number of other decorations. It probably would have been just as gaudy as what you're seeing here, based on what we see elsewhere. Unfortunately, it was built primarily of, when you get away from the walls, much of the structure was built of mud brick and the columns were wood, which is problematic because both of these have broken down over time, resulting in really the walls and the massive stone fortifications being what is primarily left. The columns, of course, support the ceiling. It would be a multi-story elevation. So in other words, we have 2 or 3 stories built up one on top of the other, and probably served much the same purpose as the palace at Knossos. This citadel would act as marketplace, as government center, as administrative center, as storage possibly, sort of safe storage for whatever items you have. So it would have been incredibly important and really at the center of their society.